After Game 3, this series suddenly looked like it was heading toward a brutal ending for San Antonio. It was not even about talent anymore. Nobody was questioning Victor Wembanyama's ability, and nobody thought the Spurs lacked stars. The real problem was the energy level. The team looked completely drained. Game 1 had already turned into a wild double overtime battle where the starters were pushed to the limit, logging heavy minutes and fighting for every possession. By the time Games 2 and 3 rolled around, Oklahoma City looked fresher and way more aggressive. The Thunder had just dropped 123 points in Game 3, knocked down 17 threes, and controlled the pace like they owned the series. It honestly felt like they had squeezed every last bit of life out of the Spurs. Going into Game 4, the biggest question hanging over San Antonio was simple. Did they even have anything left in the tank? Then Game 4 flipped the whole vibe upside down. The Spurs came out swinging and dragged that explosive Thunder offense all the way down to just 82 points. This was the same OKC squad that had been raining shots from everywhere only one game earlier, yet suddenly they looked uncomfortable, rushed, and stuck in mud. That performance completely changed the conversation around the series, and Game 4 revealed 4 massive things about where this matchup really stands. But the biggest storyline started with Wembanyama refusing to let Game 3 define him. In that previous game, his numbers looked decent on paper with 26 points, but the impact felt smaller than usual. Oklahoma City managed to make him look less dominant, which almost never happens. He only grabbed 4 rebounds the entire night, including just 1 rebound in the second half. For a player who opened this same series with a ridiculous 41 points and 24 rebounds, that drop-off changed the entire feeling around the matchup. So heading into Game 4, the concern was not whether Wembanyama could still score. Everybody already knew he could get buckets. The real concern was whether he still had enough energy to completely take over the game the way San Antonio desperately needed him to. If he came out floating around the perimeter, settling for jump shots, and avoiding the paint like he did at times in Game 3, then Oklahoma City could absolutely live with that version of him. But instead, he showed up looking like the terrifying Game 1 monster all over again. Wembanyama finished with 33 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, and a crazy plus 29 rating. More importantly, San Antonio finally started using him the right way again. Early in the game, there were still moments where he drifted into jumpers that made people think, man, get to the rim already. But as the game settled in, the Spurs got smarter. They put him in motion, used him constantly as a roller, and kept throwing lobs high above the defense where nobody else could reach. That is where Wembanyama becomes downright unfair. When he rolls toward the basket, the entire defense panics because everybody has to react at once. His size, length, and reach create a level of pressure that almost feels broken. Defenders know the lob is coming and still cannot stop it. His gravity around the rim is just ridiculous, and the Thunder felt every second of it in Game 4. When Wembanyama rolls toward the rim, the pressure he puts on a defense is almost impossible to deal with. If defenders are even half a second late, it is an easy dunk. But if they overreact and collapse too hard, he can instantly fire the ball out to open shooters. That is exactly how San Antonio finally got its offense flowing again in Game 4. Instead of standing around waiting for Wemby to create magic one-on-one, the Spurs actually forced Oklahoma City to move, rotate, and scramble all over the floor. Once San Antonio started attacking the paint, the Thunder defense had no choice but to help inside. That opened driving lanes, kickouts, and clean perimeter looks. Suddenly, Oklahoma City was spinning in circles trying to recover, while the Spurs kept the ball moving with confidence and pace. One sequence perfectly captured what San Antonio had been missing earlier in the series. Devin Vassell attacked off the dribble, drew help defenders into the lane, then fired the ball to the corner. From there, the pass instantly swung around the perimeter until it reached De'Aaron Fox, standing wide open at the top for 3. That possession looked smooth, connected, and dangerous. More importantly, it looked like real Spurs basketball again. Quick decisions, unselfish movement, and constant pressure on the defense. In the earlier games, too many possessions felt stiff and predictable, almost like everybody was waiting for Wembanyama to save them. But in Game 4, San Antonio finally got back to making Oklahoma City chase the action instead of controlling it. The second massive thing Game 4 revealed was that the Spurs finally stopped collapsing the second Wembanyama went to the bench. Through the first 3 games, that had become one of the biggest warning signs in the entire series. Wembanyama could dominate his minutes and still watch the lead disappear the moment he sat down. Game 3 was the perfect example. San Antonio exploded out of the gates with a 15-0 run, and when Wemby checked out, the Spurs were leading 19-4. Then everything instantly changed. Oklahoma City stormed back and cut the lead to 21-16 almost immediately once he was off the floor. Those stretches were painful because they made it feel like San Antonio could only survive when their superstar was carrying everything himself. That is why Game 4 mattered so much beyond just Wembanyama's stats. Nobody doubted whether he could be great. He had already done his part throughout the series. The bigger issue was whether the rest of the roster could finally stop treating every non-Wemby minute like total chaos. And for the first time since Game 1, they actually answered that challenge. The numbers backed it up too. Dylan Harper finished plus 25. Stephon Castle posted a plus 25 as well. Devin Vassell came in at plus 27. Even during bench stretches, the Spurs looked organized instead of terrified. Fox especially helped settle things down, controlling the tempo and making smart reads. Early in the game, he delivered a beautiful pass to Luke Kornet for a dunk that instantly gave the lineup confidence and rhythm. And honestly, Devin Vassell deserves major credit because his impact went way beyond the stat sheet. His final numbers, 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists, do not fully explain how important he was. He defended hard, moved the ball quickly, and constantly made smart plays that kept the offense alive. He played with control, energy, and confidence the entire night. Every time the Spurs needed a steady possession or a momentum play, Vassell seemed to be right in the middle of it. Devin Vassell was all over the court in Game 4, and his energy completely changed the feel of the matchup. He battled Shai Gilgeous-Alexander one-on-one, stayed active in passing lanes, and kept flying around defensively like he was running on pure adrenaline. Every loose ball seemed to find him nearby. Every transition chance started with his pressure. More importantly, he helped San Antonio finally look alive again instead of just standing around waiting for Wembanyama to pull off something impossible. The Spurs suddenly had movement, speed, and confidence again, and Vassell was right in the center of it. The best sequence of the entire game showed exactly what changed for San Antonio. Vassell pressured SGA into a tough possession, the ball came loose, and instantly the Spurs exploded down the floor. Instead of slowing things down, Dylan Harper pushed the break hard and threw a perfect alley-oop to Stephon Castle for the finish. And the craziest part? It was not even Wembanyama catching the lob this time. That one play summed up the entire night for San Antonio. Defense turning into offense, young players attacking with confidence, and Oklahoma City getting hit with the same fast-paced chaos they usually create against everybody else. That was the biggest difference compared to Games 2 and 3. Earlier in the series, the Spurs looked exhausted and reactive. In Game 4, they finally started punching back. This was not just about Wembanyama carrying the whole team anymore. The players around him actually gave him real support. De'Aaron Fox especially stepped up in a huge way. His stat line was exactly what San Antonio needed: 12 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 0 turnovers. The rebounds were honestly shocking considering he was still dealing with a bad ankle. A guard his size pulling down 10 boards in a playoff game like this is massive. But even beyond the numbers, his calm ball handling completely stabilized the offense. Against Oklahoma City's pressure defense, protecting the ball is everything. And Fox gave the Spurs control whenever things started getting messy. Stephon Castle's growth in this series has also been wild to watch. In Game 1, he had 11 turnovers. In Game 2, he had 9. At that point, it looked like San Antonio might just have to survive the mistakes because he is still a young guard facing one of the nastiest defensive teams in basketball. But then everything changed fast. In Game 3, even during the loss, he only turned the ball over once. Then he followed it up in Game 4 with just 1 turnover again. That kind of adjustment this quickly is seriously impressive. A lot of players never fully figure that out under playoff pressure. Then there was Dylan Harper, who looked far more comfortable despite still playing through injury. Late in the game, he split a double team and exploded at the rim over Jalen Williams for a huge dunk that lit up the crowd. Moments like that keep making people forget he is still just a rookie. He keeps attacking big moments without fear, keeps playing through pain, and keeps delivering under pressure. And with all of that happening, San Antonio finally started winning the physical battle again too. They controlled the glass 52-47, dominated points in the paint 50-36, and crushed Oklahoma City in fast break points 18-7. The Spurs finally looked strong again instead of worn down. One of the most impressive parts of Game 4 was how San Antonio completely shut down Oklahoma City's transition attack. The Thunder only managed 7 fast break points after dominating that area earlier in the series. That number says everything about the Spurs' effort and discipline. Games 2 and 3 started feeling like Oklahoma City had turned San Antonio's size into a weakness instead of an advantage. The Thunder were speeding them up, forcing mistakes, and making the Spurs look slow and exhausted. But in Game 4, San Antonio finally stopped the damage. They got tougher on the glass, played with better balance, and stopped letting OKC dictate every part of the game. That shift led directly into the biggest adjustment of the night. Because honestly, the biggest reason this game flipped was not just rebounding, role players, or even Wembanyama himself. The real story was how San Antonio completely changed its defensive coverage against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Earlier in the series, the Spurs made it obvious what they wanted to do. Every time SGA touched the ball, help defenders came flying over immediately. Their goal was simple: get the ball out of his hands no matter what. In Game 1, that strategy mostly worked. Sure, Alex Caruso exploded from three-point range, and Oklahoma City still pushed the game into double overtime, but Shai never fully controlled the game as a scorer or playmaker. Then Game 2 changed everything. Oklahoma City became way more physical, started winning the turnover battle, and SGA began picking apart the defense with smart passes. By Game 3, it almost looked automatic. The Thunder had seen the same defensive coverage so many times that they were reading it effortlessly. SGA would draw help, calmly make the right pass, and Oklahoma City would instantly create open shots with the extra space. It looked smooth, organized, and dangerous. The Spurs knew they could not survive another game playing defense the exact same way because OKC was starting to look unstoppable on offense. That is why the adjustment in Game 4 mattered so much. San Antonio did not completely stop helping on Shai because that would have been reckless, but they stopped making the coverage predictable. Sometimes the second defender came late. Sometimes help defenders only showed briefly before recovering. Other times, they trusted the primary defender to battle SGA one-on-one for longer stretches. That constant variation completely disrupted Oklahoma City's rhythm. Suddenly, Shai could not instantly predict where the help was coming from or where the open teammate would be, and that small difference changed the entire flow of the game. San Antonio's perimeter defenders stepped up in a massive way, fighting harder at the point of attack and forcing SGA into another rough shooting performance. But the bigger impact was what happened around him. Oklahoma City's role players no longer got comfortable catch-and-shoot looks every trip down the floor. The easy passing lanes disappeared, the spacing tightened up, and the Thunder offense started stalling out possession after possession. By the end of the night, the Spurs had turned one of the hottest offenses in the playoffs completely cold. Game 3 was a complete nightmare for San Antonio defensively. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander finished with 26 points and 12 assists, and the Thunder offense looked nearly impossible to slow down. Oklahoma City dropped 123 points, buried 17 threes, and had contributions coming from everywhere. Jared McCain exploded for 24 points off the bench. Jalen Williams added 18 while knocking down 5 triples. Alex Caruso chipped in 15, and Cason Wallace gave them another 11. That is exactly what makes the Thunder so dangerous. Even if a team manages to get the ball out of SGA's hands, Oklahoma City still has enough shooters, cutters, and playmakers to punish every mistake. At that point in the series, it honestly felt like the Spurs were running out of answers fast. But then Game 4 completely flipped the script. SGA finished with just 19 points and 7 assists, far below his normal production, while also committing 4 turnovers. The Thunder as a team coughed the ball up 20 times and never looked comfortable offensively. Their shooting completely fell apart too, finishing just 6 for 33 from deep. Jared McCain went from scoring 24 points to only 4 on brutal shooting. Jalen Williams dropped from 18 points down to just 3. And maybe the wildest stat of all, Alex Caruso went from 15 points to 0. That right there tells the whole story. The Spurs turned one of the hottest offenses in playoffs into a frustrated, disconnected mess that could barely reach 82 points. Now, Oklahoma City probably will not shoot this badly forever. Going back home should help them settle in offensively, and it would not be surprising at all to see their shooters bounce back in a big way. But the important thing is that San Antonio may have finally discovered a defensive formula that can actually bother this Thunder team moving forward. The key was balance. They did not let SGA get comfortable seeing the same coverage possession after possession. Sometimes they trapped him. Sometimes they stayed home on shooters. Other times they trusted single coverage briefly before bringing help late. On top of that, they kept rotating fresh defenders onto him non-stop. Dylan Harper took turns. Stephon Castle battled him. Devin Vassell got physical. Even Harrison Barnes spent stretches guarding him. It was wave after wave of different defenders mixed with different defensive looks, and that constant change disrupted Oklahoma City's rhythm all night long. Then came the turnovers. San Antonio was not just forcing tough shots. They were creating chaos, jumping passing lanes, and turning mistakes into fast break opportunities the other way. Once the Spurs started running in transition, the entire energy of the game changed. Oklahoma City knows better than anybody how dangerous transition basketball can be because they usually dominate teams that exact same way. Still, this series is far from over. The Thunder are too talented, too deep, and too well coached to disappear after one bad game. They still have home court advantage, and now the pressure shifts to Marc Degnaud to respond with adjustments of his own. But after 4 games, this matchup is exactly where everybody expected it to be, tied 2-2, basically turning the series into a brand new race to the finish. And now Game 5 suddenly feels massive, with both teams knowing the next swing could decide everything. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe, drop a like, and stick around for more playoff coverage because this series is only getting crazier from here.